The free energy principle. Imagine you are standing in a dark, unfamiliar room. You reach out your hand, expecting to find a light switch. You take a step forward, expecting the floor to remain solid and level beneath your feet. You don't think about these expectations. They are the invisible architecture of your reality. For over a century, the prevailing model in neuroscience was that your brain was a passive processor, a sophisticated camera that records sensory data, sends it to the back of the head, and then slowly builds a picture of the world. But Carl Friston, a man whose work is so influential he is consistently tipped for a Nobel Prize, proved that this model is almost entirely backward. Your brain is not a camera, it is a prediction engine. In a series of complex mathematical papers that have redefined cognitive science, Friston introduced the free energy principle. The core idea is deceptively simple. Your brain hates being surprised. In biological terms, surprise is equivalent to free energy. And free energy is a state of high entropy that is metabolically expensive and dangerous for a living organism. To minimize this surprise, your brain doesn't wait for the world to tell it what's happening. Instead, it builds a massive, multi-layered internal model of the universe and constantly generates top-down predictions about what should happen next. When you walk into that dark room, your brain isn't seeing the darkness. It is rendering the darkness based on its model. When your hand touches the wall and feels exactly the texture it expected, your brain doesn't even bother processing the electrical signals from your fingertips. It simply checks the expected box and ignores the data. This is why you can walk through your own house in the dark without bumping into things. You aren't seeing the furniture. You are seeing your brain's perfect prediction of where the furniture is. You only truly see something when your prediction fails. If there were a chair in a place your brain didn't expect, the sudden prediction error would send a massive spike of energy through your nervous system, forcing your consciousness to snap into focus and update the model. This means that your entire experience of life is what Friston calls a controlled hallucination. You are living inside a simulation that your brain is running a fraction of a second ahead of reality. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you expect it to be, corrected by just enough sensory data to keep you from walking off a cliff. If your brain waited to process every photon and every sound wave from scratch, you would be too slow to survive. You would be eaten by a predator or hit by a car, while your visual cortex was still trying to figure out which way the grass was moving. Instead, your brain predicts the movement, renders the future, and only updates when the world doesn't match the movie in your head. You are a biological survival machine that has traded absolute accuracy for predictive speed. And the most unsettling part is that you can never truly know if the floor is really there until your brain decides to stop assuming it is. The flash lag effect. Think about a car driving past you at 60 miles per hour on a highway. As you track it with your eyes, you feel like you are seeing it move in real time. But there is a biological bottleneck that nobody ever told you about. It takes time for the light from that car to hit your retina, be converted into electrical impulses, travel through the optic nerve, and finally reach the primary visual cortex at the very back of your brain. This delay, known as neural latency, is about 80 milliseconds. If you were actually seeing the world exactly as it hits your eyes, you would be looking at the past. The car would be several feet ahead of the image your brain is currently showing you. This is where Romy Nehouwen's flash lag effect comes in, a discovery that fundamentally changed our understanding of visual perception. In a classic experiment, Nehouwen showed subjects a moving ring, and then flashed a second light at the exact same spatial position as the ring for a split second. Logically, if you are seeing the world as it is, you should see the flash and the ring perfectly aligned. But you don't. Every single human with a healthy brain sees the moving ring as being significantly farther ahead than the flash. This is because your brain knows about its own 80 millisecond delay. It understands that by the time it can show you the light it just received, that light is already old news. So it doesn't show you the raw data. Instead, it extrapolates the trajectory of every moving object in your field of vision and projects them 80 milliseconds into the future. It literally paints the car further down the road than it actually is on your retina. just so your conscious experience matches where the car will be when you are finally able to react to it. Your visual system is a time traveler. It is constantly compensating for its own slow hardware by showing you a version of the future that hasn't happened yet. This is why you can catch a ball, dodge a punch, or drive a car without crashing every 5 seconds. If you saw the world as it was, you would miss everything. You would reach for objects that were no longer there and step into the paths of vehicles that had already passed. But because your brain is a predictive engine, it shows you a pre-approved edit of the next moment. You can see this glitch in your own hardware right now. Search for flash lag effect, the visual proof that you are living 80 milliseconds in the future. What you find will confirm that your eyes aren't just windows. They are projectors, and the world you see is a movie that your brain has already finished editing before it lets you watch it. Anticipatory skin conductance. Imagine you are sitting in a laboratory, wired up to sensors that measure the electrical activity on the surface of your skin. You are looking at a computer monitor where images are appearing at random intervals. Most of the images are calm, landscapes, fruit, geometric shapes. But occasionally, the computer chooses a high-arousal image, a violent crash, a predatory animal, or something equally disturbing. You have no way of knowing what's coming next. The sequence is determined by a true random number generator. But your body does. This is the groundbreaking and deeply controversial work of Dean Radin. In a series of rigorously controlled studies, Radin measured what is called skin conductance, the tiny, invisible changes in moisture that happen when your autonomic nervous system prepares for a threat. What he found seems to defy the laws of cause and effect. The subject's skin conductance began to spike significantly between 2 and 5 seconds asterisk. Before asterisk, the emotional image appeared on the screen. Their bodies were bracing for a shock that hadn't been selected by the computer yet. This phenomenon is known as anticipatory physiological activity, or presentiment. While some in the scientific establishment have tried to dismiss it as a statistical fluke, multiple independent replications have suggested that our nervous systems possess a temporal resolution that our conscious minds simply cannot access. Your subconscious isn't just reacting to the world, it is vibrating in resonance with the immediate future. You might call it a hunch or intuition, but in the lab it looks like a physical pre-calculation. Your heart rate, your sweat glands, and your pupil dilation are all tuned to a future that yourself hasn't arrived at yet. This means that when you feel a sudden, inexplicable wave of dread or a flash of excitement, it might not be a random thought. It might be your body's prediction engine detecting a ripple in the timeline before it hits your conscious awareness. You aren't a passenger in time. You are a system that is constantly leaking into the next 3 seconds. And the only reason you don't feel overwhelmed by this pre-knowledge is that your brain filters most of it out, only letting the shivers through when it thinks you need to run. The impossible catch. Consider the physics of a professional baseball game. A fastball travels from the pitcher's mound to home plate at nearly 100 miles per hour. The entire flight of the ball lasts less than 400 milliseconds. Now, consider the biological constraints of the human player. It takes about 200 milliseconds for the brain to process the visual information, and another 100 milliseconds to send the signal to the muscles to move the bat or the glove. This leaves a window of less than 1/10 of a second for any adjustment. If the player were simply reacting to the ball's movement, it would be physically impossible to hit or catch it. Neuroscientist Daniel Walpert has shown that the brain solves this through what is called a forward model located in the cerebellum. As soon as the pitcher begins his wind wind-up, your brain is already running a high-speed simulation of every possible trajectory the ball could take. It isn't watching the ball's current position. It is predicting its future coordinates in 4-dimensional space-time. Your brain uses its own history of moving your own limbs to estimate the physical forces at play. The player doesn't move his hand to where the ball is. He moves his hand to where his brain has calculated the ball will be in 300 milliseconds. This is a massive computational feat that happens entirely below the level of your awareness. This prediction is so precise that if the ball deviates by even a fraction of an inch due to an unexpected break or a gust of wind, The player will feel a profound sense of wrongness before the ball even misses the glove. It is a prediction error that feels like a physical shock. You don't possess a body that moves through the world. You possess a prediction system that manages a meat machine. The only reason you can walk downstairs, catch a falling cup, or navigate a crowded sidewalk is that your brain has already finished those movements in its head before you even started them. You are living in a pre-recorded sequence of your own making, and the moment you stop predicting is the moment you become a clumsy, helpless observer of your own failure. Mismatch negativity. Think about a song you know by heart. As one note plays, you are already hearing the next one in your mind. But what happens if that note never comes? If you have ever been in a room when a steady background hum, like a refrigerator or an air conditioner, suddenly cuts out, you know the feeling. You didn't notice the sound while it was there, but you noticed its absence immediately. Your brain didn't just hear the silence, it heard the failure of its own prediction. This is the result of a neural signal called mismatch negativity, discovered by Risto Naitanen. Your auditory cortex is not a tape recorder. It is an active anticipation device. It is constantly predicting the rhythm and frequency of the next sound in a sequence. If you hear a series of identical tones, asterisk beep, 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 asterisk, your brain enters a state of high certainty. It stops dedicating energy to listening and instead starts expecting. But if the next sound is slightly higher, or slightly longer, or, most importantly, if it is missing entirely, your brain fires a massive electrical signal across your scalp within 150 milliseconds. This error signal happens automatically, even if you are fast asleep or under general anesthesia. It is the fundamental way your brain monitors its own accuracy and protects you from an unpredictable environment. You are surrounded by a symphony of predictions every second of your life. You predict the rhythm of your own footsteps, the familiar cadence of a partner's voice, the distant hum of traffic. You only become conscious of these things when the prediction fails. This means that your experience of silence isn't just the absence of sound. It is the presence of a prediction that didn't come true. You are constantly braced for the next second of audio, and the only reason you don't feel like you are being bombarded by noise is that your brain is successfully canceling out everything it has already predicted. You are living in a world of filtered expectations, and the only things that ever make it into your conscious mind are the things your brain didn't see coming. Heartbeat evoked potential. You probably aren't thinking about your heart right now. It is beating away inside your chest, a rhythmic, powerful thumping that moves 5 liters of blood through your body every minute. You almost never feel it unless you are terrified, exhausted, or in deep silence. But your brain is obsessed with it. Neuroscientist Catherine Talon-Baudry has documented a signal called the heartbeat evoked potential, and it reveals that your brain is predicting every single pulse of your life before it even happens. Your brain monitors your internal state with the same predictive logic it uses for the external world. It calculates the exact millisecond of your next heartbeat and generates a negative of that sensation to cancel it out. If you actually felt every heartbeat, the constant sensory noise would drown out your ability to think or perceive anything else. Your brain hides your own life from you because it is expected. But if your heart skips a beat, or if the rhythm changes by just a fraction due to an undiagnosed issue, the prediction fails. The result isn't a thought. It is a sudden visceral wave of anxiety or impending doom. This is the neural basis of the gut feeling. Your brain is running a real-time simulation of your own organs. When you feel that something is wrong, it is often because your internal prediction engine has detected a mismatch in your own biology before you have any conscious symptoms. You are a biological system that is constantly monitoring its own future health in the background. This means that your sense of self is actually built on a foundation of predicted stability. You feel like yourself only as long as your brain can successfully hide your internal machinery from you. The moment your heart deviates from the brain's model, the illusion of your own physical safety collapses. You aren't just an observer in a body. You are a prediction that is trying to keep its own container from failing. Predictive eye movements. Watch a video of 2 people having a fast-paced conversation. For a long time, we thought that our eyes simply followed the person who was talking. But eye-tracking studies, like those by Maryam Tabatabayan, show something far more sophisticated. Your eyes don't follow the speaker. They predict the asterisk next asterisk speaker. About 200 milliseconds before a person finishes their sentence, the listener's eyes often jump to the person who is about to respond. You are computing complex social dynamics in real time, far faster than your conscious mind can follow. Your brain is analyzing the subtle drop in pitch at the end of a sentence, the shift in a speaker's shoulder, and the semantic structure of the language to predict exactly when the turn will happen. You are a social time traveler, looking at the future of the conversation before it even begins. If you waited for the person to start talking before you looked at them, you would be too slow to participate in the social dance. You would be perceived as slow or off. This is why socially awkward situations feel so physically uncomfortable. If someone interrupts unexpectedly, or if the rhythm of a conversation is broken, your eyes jump to the wrong place, and your brain experiences a massive prediction error. You are constantly mapping out the social future of the room, deciding who is important and who will lead the group next. You think you are just listening, but your eyes are busy building a storyboard of the next 5 seconds, ensuring that you are always looking at the center of the world before it even moves there. You aren't just in a room with people. You are in a simulation of social power that your brain is constantly updating. Bayesian updating in language. When I start a sentence like "the cat sat on the /", you didn't choose to do this. It happened automatically at a speed that defies conscious thought. Ted Gibson at MIT has shown that our brains use Bayesian probability, a mathematical model for updating beliefs based on new evidence, to navigate every conversation you have ever had. We don't wait for the end of a sentence to understand it. We are constantly updating a probabilistic map of what the next word is likely to be. This is why garden path sentences are so jarring. Consider the sentence, "The horse raced past the barn fell." Your brain has to go back, delete the future it just built, and re-render the sentence with "fell" as the main verb. This costs a measurable amount of glucose and time. Your survival as a social animal depends on this linguistic time travel. If a prehistoric ancestor shouted, "Watch out for the /", it predicted the most likely threats based on the context of the surroundings. You are an information-hungry animal that is constantly trying to finish the universe's sentences before they are spoken. You aren't actually listening to every word I say. You are just confirming that I'm saying what you already expected me to say. And the moment I say something truly unpredictable is the only moment you are actually paying attention. The hollow face illusion. Look at a hollow mask from the inside, the concave side, even when you know it is hollow. And even if you touch the inside of the mask with your own hand, your brain will often see it as a normal, convex face sticking out toward you. This is the hollow face illusion, and it is the ultimate proof of what Richard Gregory calls top-down perception. No matter how hard you try, you cannot see the mask as hollow. This is because your brain has a prior prediction that is stronger than the physical light hitting your eyes. In millions of years of evolution, your ancestors never encountered a hollow human face. So when your eyes send data that says this face is concave, your brain's prediction engine says, "No, that's impossible. You must be wrong." It overrides the sensory data and forces you to see a 3D face sticking out. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your expectations. If your brain's model of the world is strong enough, it will literally edit your vision to match what it thinks asterisk should asterisk be there. You are living in a world of shoulds, and the reason you don't notice the glitches in your perception is that your brain is a master editor, airbrushing reality in real time to fit its own ancient rules. You think you are seeing the truth, but you are just seeing a heavily edited version of the future that your brain has pre-approved based on what it thinks is normal. If the world truly changed tomorrow, you wouldn't even see it. You would just see your old model for days until the prediction errors became too loud to ignore. The tool as a limb. When you pick up a hammer or a surgeon picks up a scalpel, something strange happens in the brain's parietal cortex. Within seconds, your body schema, the internal map of your physical self, expands. If you tap a wall with a hammer, you don't feel the vibration in your hand. You feel it at the asterisk tip asterisk of the hammer. Your brain has predicted the sensory feedback so perfectly that it has incorporated the tool into your own identity. This proprioceptive prediction is what allows us to be the dominant species on Earth. Your brain doesn't see the tool as an external object. It sees it as a new limb. It runs a forward model for the hammer just as it does for your arm. If the hammer were to break or feel slightly different, you would experience a prediction error as if your own finger had been injured. You are a modular creature, and your brain is so good at prediction that it can adopt any piece of technology as part of yourself. This is why people feel naked without their phones, or injured when their car gets a scratch. Your brain has predicted these objects into your own identity. You aren't just a body. You are a flexible prediction system that is constantly redefining where you end and the world begins. The only reason you can drive a car at high speeds through narrow spaces or type on a keyboard without looking is that your brain has already finished those movements in its head before you even started them. You are an ever-expanding ghost in a machine, and the moment you pick up a tool, you are predicting a future where that tool is your own flesh. Saccadic suppression. Go to a mirror right now and look into your own eyes. Now look from your left eye to your right eye, back and forth. You will notice something impossible. You can never see your own eyes move. You see them looking left, and you see them looking right, but the motion between those 2 points is completely missing. If you were watching someone else's eyes, you would see the movement clearly, but you can never see your own. This is saccadic suppression. Every time you move your eyes, which happens about 3 times every single second, your brain would normally see a dizzying motion blur that would make you physically sick. To prevent this, your brain simply turns off your visual feed during the movement. But it doesn't just leave a black hole in your vision. It predicts what the world will look like at the asterisk end asterisk of the movement and smears the 2 images together to create a seamless experience. You are effectively blind for about 40 minutes every single day. Your brain is a montage editor, cutting out the bad takes of your own eye movements and showing you a seamless, predicted reel. You think you are seeing a continuous flow of time, but you are actually seeing a series of still frames that your brain has predicted into a movie. Your reality is a jump cut, and the only reason you don't notice is that your brain is a genius at filling in the gaps with its own best guesses. If your brain can delete your own eyes moving, what else is it deleting from your life because it doesn't fit the prediction? The rhythm of the void. Everything you do requires timing. When you walk, when you talk, when you breathe. Your brain has a clock, but it's not like a mechanical watch. It's a temporal prediction system. If you hear a steady rhythm, thump, 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 your brain's neurons start firing in sync with it. It isn't just counting the beats. It is predicting exactly when the next one will happen. If the rhythm stops, your brain continues to fire for a few milliseconds, waiting for the beat. This is why you can keep time even in total silence. Your brain is simulating the passage of time, but this simulation is fragile. If you are terrified, time seems to slow down because your brain is oversampling the world, making more predictions per second than usual. If you are bored, it speeds up. You aren't a passenger in time. You are the creator of it. Your brain predicts the rhythm of the universe so that you can move through it without falling. But what happens when the predictions stop? What happens when you encounter a system so complex or a reality so broken that your brain can't find a pattern? That is the moment when the simulation cracks, and you finally see the world as it is, raw, chaotic, and unpredictable. Everything we've covered today is just one blind spot in a complete map of what your brain does without telling you. The full map, every mechanism, every documented case of how your mind constructs a reality you didn't authorize, is the next video.